All right, today I want to talk about something that most people are uncomfortable with, and that is the two words heaven and hell. Now, I want to talk about these topics in a way that is unconventional and yet still not heretical. The first thing I want to do is have you, temporarily at least, discard all the cultural norms that are associated with these two words. The portrayals of them in culture of fluffy clouds and harps and wings, little angels, or cherubs and stuff. Just throw that away for heaven for the moment, and with hell, fire and brimstone, and Satan and horns and all that stuff. I just want to push that aside for now. I want to start with emotions. Human emotions are one of the primary reasons I first became a Christian. Because I struggled with a belief in God, and maybe everyone does at some point in their life, but one of the things that brought me back to the belief in a human soul is the concept of having emotions. The reason is because I don't see any evolutionary purpose for emotions. Emotions can actually be non-productive, and not only unproductive, but also destructive, self-destructive. So they're illogical, and there's no real reason that I can see why humans would develop these over time as a benefit for keeping our species, for our own purposes. So then we get to what the Bible says, that God is love in 1 John 4:8. If God is love and God gives us these good emotions, then it also demonstrates our expression of these emotions, and us having these emotions also helps support, in my mind at least, the concept of the human soul. So it's not just, we're not just here biological creatures functioning on a daily basis, doing our thing, but we have feelings and passion and emotions and things that demonstrate are connected to something spiritually and not just biologically. So now, that being said, that's the foundation. I want to start with that. And now let's get to what I was talking about at the beginning, heaven and hell. So if God is the source of love, let's expand him as the source of all positive emotions. It doesn't say that in the Bible, but I think it's a logical conclusion to expand these other emotions to connect them with God. Let's, for example, talk about those emotions: happiness, joy, peace, contentment, maybe, laughter, fun, hope, compassion, gratitude, euphoria, affection, things like that. All the things that you would think are good, that humans, would think could be connected with God. Okay, so if these are the God emotions, then think about next the best day of your life here on earth, okay? Maybe it was the birth of your kids. Maybe it was your wedding day. Maybe you remember this moment where you were hanging out with your friends back in high school or college, and you were just chilling and laughing and didn't have much stress in the world at that time. You didn't have all the responsibilities of an adult, and you were just relaxing, and you had these bonds with your friends and having a good time, and that's the best moment that you can remember. So whatever that moment is for you, now, that moment, as good as it was still not perfect, because you still had things that were wrong in your life. You still maybe had, maybe you had some stress over what you were going to decide for your future. Maybe, the wedding was costing a lot of money and you were a little stressed over that. Maybe you had an argument with your family and, your parents aren't perfect, so maybe, you wish your dad would love you more, or your siblings are crackheads. I don't. Something in your life isn't perfect, okay? There's some emotions in your life that aren't of those God emotions, right? No matter how perfect the best day, and that day was probably, those days are few and far between where they're that perfect, where you can say that was the best day of my life. But even that weren't perfect, okay? So now, that being said, Heaven is going to be my portrayal of heaven, what I want to present to you is heaven is going to be that perfect day of your life or those, those great days of your life without any of the negative emotions. Okay? The only thing that's going to be in heaven is the emotions that God provides, those good things. Love, compassion, affection, happiness, joy, peace, all those things that God gives. That's all there is. So take your best day and make it perfect and pure, and that's going to be eternity if you get to heaven. Okay, so then if God gives those good emotions, what about the other ones? What about the bad emotions? Because we got plenty of those in life too, right? Well, let's see. Depression, fear, anxiety, frustration, jealousy, rage, disappointment, loneliness, contempt. Did I say anxiety? Anyway, those emotions are not from God. If God is love, and those are the opposite of love, then those are not given by God. Now, whether you're comfortable with talking about demons or Satan, I don't know. I think it makes sense to me, and I think that it would make sense on this earth, that if you got to connect a source with the negative emotions, then it would make sense of something opposing to God, which would be, demons or Satan. Okay, but regardless, it's just not from God. So now let's continue on with the extension to hell. Think of the worst day of your life. Okay, maybe it was the day, you wrecked your car. Maybe it was the day your wife left you. Maybe it was the day that, you had someone that you love pass away. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe, you went bankrupt. There's all sorts of crummy things that happen in this life. So for the perfect day, the day that was the best here on earth, you still had some bad emotions present. So now if you go to your worst day that you can remember here on earth, on that day, you still had some good emotions present, right? You still had someone maybe loved you. Could be your parents, could be your sibling, could be your friends who supported you even though you were going through hard times. You still had some hope in the future, perhaps, or you had someone in your life giving you something of positive emotions. You still have good memories. You had something good to hang on to on the horrible worst day of your life. Okay, so now, just like with heaven, we're reversing that or switching it to hell and saying hell will be completely absent of any of those good emotions. Okay? So if heaven only has the good emotions and none of the bad, hell will be the bad emotions and none of the good. So all you will experience there in hell, or the absence of God, will be the absence of God and the absence of the emotions that He provides. Okay? So all you'll experience if you don't go to heaven for eternity, if you don't have that going for you, is depression, rage, anxiety, pain, fear, hate, all the things that doesn't come from God. So I don't want to turn this into a presentation of the gospel. I talk about that more in another video about heaven being the clean room. You can look at my other videos for that. But I do want to say that if you've been presented the gospel, if you know, or if you've been told what it takes to get to heaven, then you have a choice to make. The afterlife is just an extension of that choice that you make here on earth. If you don't choose God, if you reject Him, for eternity, you won't get any of the emotions that He provides. And all you're left with is the bad emotions. So eternity will be the worst day of your life, purified and amplified to have nothing good. If you choose God, you will have all the good emotions that God provides and none of the bad. So it will basically be the best day of your life, purified and amplified for eternity. I encourage you to choose wisely.